Be prepared. This full moon isn't here to make you feel better. It's here to make you free. On June 11th, the strawberry moon rises, not just to light the sky, but to open the wound you've been carrying silently, generation after generation. The pain in your chest, the anger that erupts without warning, the heaviness you've never been able to explain, it was never just yours. This moon is a portal, and it doesn't ask permission. It's bringing everything up, not to break you, but to break the cycle. Are you ready to be the one who finally says enough? Are you ready to release pain you didn't create, but were chosen to end? This isn't about fixing your past. It's about no longer living inside it. Your healing starts now. But only if you're willing to see what's been hidden in your bloodline all along. There are moons that ask for reflection, others that ask for movement. But this one, this strawberry moon, is asking for surrender. On June 11th, the sky becomes a mirror, and what it reflects is not just your present, but the echoes of everything you've inherited. This isn't about astrology, it's about energy, about cycles that began before you were born and are now asking to end through you. Can you feel the weight lately? The strange sadness, the emotional fatigue, the deep memories you can't explain? That's not you falling apart. That's you absorbing what your lineage never processed, because generational trauma doesn't show up as history. It shows up as patterns, as reactions, as fears that seem to appear without cause. And this moon, it's surfacing them all. This full moon in Sagittarius carries fire, clarity, and truth. But it's not aimed at the world outside. It's aimed at your bloodline, at the energetic threads tying you to ancestors who could not cry, could not speak, could not heal, and left it all behind for you to carry. But you were not sent here to carry it forever. You were sent here to end it. This is the moment when spiritual awakening becomes ancestral responsibility. And the moon is the witness. So when this moon rises, don't just look at the sky. Look inward. What are you ready to release, and not for yourself, but for everyone who came before you? What pain have you normalized that was never yours to hold? What legacy are you still repeating, even as your soul whispers, no more? You may find yourself crying for no reason, avoiding certain places, feeling waves of anger or grief with no clear source. That's not emotional chaos. That's sacred release. You are shedding layers that were never yours, but became embedded in your energy field through time, DNA, and soul contracts. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to know the full family story. You just have to say yes to being the one who ends the pattern. The one who chooses peace over repetition. The one who meets this moon, not with fear, but with reverence. Then this is not just a full moon. It is a full circle. And it's closing now, with or without your resistance. The question is, will you step into it consciously, or let it pass with the weight still intact? The power of this moon is in the goodbye, not just to people or memories, but to suffering that has overstayed its place in your soul. You may not remember the original wound, but your body does. Long before the mind could name it, long before you ever questioned your patterns or emotions, your cells were already storing the memories. Because generational trauma is not just passed through stories, it's passed through flesh, bone, tension, and breath. And under this strawberry moon, the body is the first place where truth rises. That chronic tightness in your chest, the sudden panic when someone raises their voice, the deep exhaustion after doing something that shouldn't be hard, these aren't random. They are echoes, traces of unhealed pain that your ancestors didn't have the tools or the freedom to face. Now, the moon calls you to feel what they couldn't. And that's not a burden, that's a sacred task. This full moon in Sagittarius touches your emotional nervous system with fire. It illuminates and purifies. You might find yourself restless, sleep disrupted, breath shallow. These are the signs of emotional residue being stirred, preparing to release. But it doesn't come out all at once. It comes through the body, in waves. Have you been feeling physical symptoms without medical explanation? Have emotions appeared during yoga, dancing, or even while washing dishes? That's your somatic intelligence waking up. Your body is remembering what the mind has tried to forget, and it's ready to let go. This isn't about trauma therapy or healing modalities alone. This is about presence, listening, breathing with what rises, touching the scar with compassion instead of judgment. The moon's light isn't here to shame your sensitivity, it's here to celebrate it as a portal. You are not broken. You are not cursed. You are the place where the energy got stuck. And now, where it's finally ready to move. You are the end point of pain and the starting point of liberation. That's why the body is reacting now, not as a symptom, but as a signal. You might feel the urge to move differently, to stretch, to cry while listening to music, to scream in the car. Don't hold it back. These releases are not weakness. They are recalibrations. Your nervous system is shedding layers it was never meant to hold. You don't have to understand every pain to release it. You just have to trust your body's language. Let this moon be the ceremony where you stop silencing your physical truth, where you stop carrying pain that was never yours. Because when trauma leaves the body, so does the lie that you were supposed to carry it in the first place. There's a reason you feel different, a reason you've questioned things others accepted, a reason you've carried emotions that seemed older than your own life. You were never just living your story. You were chosen to be the breaking point of the ones that came before. And this strawberry moon arrives as confirmation. The cycle stops with you. You are not just healing for yourself. You are healing through yourself, for your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandfather, for those whose voices were silenced before they ever had a chance to speak. When generational pain isn't healed, it hides. In habits, in fears, in shame passed down like inheritance. But it can only hide for so long. At some point, someone in the line is born sensitive enough, strong enough, awake enough to say, "This ends now," that someone is you. Have you ever felt like the emotional black sheep? Like you were too much, too intense, too affected by things others ignored? That's not a flaw. It's a frequency. You were born with a nervous system designed to feel what your lineage could not, to face what they buried, to bring the light of presence into the shadows they feared. You are not repeating the story. You are rewriting it. But this process isn't easy. It's lonely. It's confusing. Because when you begin to wake up to the emotional legacy you inherited, there's a moment where it feels like none of it belongs to you, and yet all of it is inside you. That's the paradox. You carry pain that is not yours, but you are the one who must choose to release it. Under this full moon, that choice is illuminated. The universe doesn't expect perfection. It only asks for permission to move, to heal, to speak through you, to use your breath as the exhale your ancestors never took, to use your tears as the baptism they never received. You are the living portal through which they rise and finally rest. This isn't about blaming those who came before. It's about freeing them. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's alchemy. When you forgive what was passed down, you don't excuse the harm. You transform it. You close the loop. And in doing so, you set the next generation free, even if that generation is just you, reborn. What would happen if you stopped carrying the pain and started carrying the medicine? What if the same emotions that once crushed you could now become your guideposts? What if the heaviness you inherited was only there to teach you how light you're meant to become? This is what it means to be the portal. To walk through your healing not as a victim of the past, but as a liberator of the future. And when the moon rises on June 11th, it will not just rise for you, it will rise for every soul behind you who never got the chance to become free. Let them watch you. Let them move through you. Let them heal, finally, through the light you chose to become. What this moon wants you to release. This strawberry moon doesn't just shine, it exposes. It's not here to gently guide you through a dreamlike awakening. It's here to pull the emotional splinters from your soul, even if it stings. Because the pain you've carried, the shame you've swallowed, the weight you've learned to call normal, was never meant to follow you into this next chapter. This moon is not asking you to heal. It's demanding that you let go. But here's the truth, letting go isn't an action. It's a death, a sacred one. And death never feels peaceful in the moment. It feels like loss, like uncertainty, like identity unraveling. Because so much of who you think you are has been shaped around what you've endured. The roles you've played to survive, the boundaries you never learned to set, the silence you believed was safety. This moon isn't asking for your performance. It's asking for your release. What are you still holding that was never yours to begin with? Whose voice still echoes in your mind when you doubt yourself? What story have you repeated so often that it became your reality, even when your soul rejected it? These are the shadows this moon will drag into the light. Have you noticed the patterns resurfacing lately? The people returning, the old wounds knocking again, the emotions that won't stay buried no matter how much you try to stay positive. That's not regression, that's revelation. The moon is showing you exactly what must go, and not in theory, in embodiment. Because this isn't about spiritually bypassing your pain with love and light. It's about facing it, naming it, honoring it, and then refusing to let it control you any longer. There is power in release, but it only works when it's real. When it's rooted not in denial, but in choice. This moon wants you to grieve, to scream, to write letters you'll never send, to cry without censoring yourself, to move your body in ways that make no sense, but feel like freedom. To purge everything that was embedded in your being by trauma, fear, or inheritance. And beyond that, this moon wants you to forgive, not to excuse, but to unhook. Forgiveness is the spell that breaks the cycle. It says, I no longer carry this forward. And when you truly release, not because you're ready, but because you refuse to carry it another day, the universe listens. The ancestors listen. Your own energy field begins to shift in response. The strawberry moon is not just a lunar event. It's a sacred exhale, a final contraction before rebirth. And what it wants you to release is not your power, your softness, or your truth, but everything that kept those parts of you suppressed. So ask yourself as this moon rises, what identity are you finally willing to bury? What story are you ready to stop telling? What version of you are you brave enough to outgrow? Because the moon is watching, not to judge you, but to hold space as you surrender everything that was never really you. You can't release what you still pretend doesn't hurt. You can't transcend what you continue to suppress. That's why the first true step of healing isn't action. It's awareness, not the kind that lives in books or affirmations, but the kind that burns in the body when you finally stop numbing what you feel. This strawberry moon isn't just asking you to be spiritual. It's asking you to be real. Because the truth is, emotional freedom is not a destination. It's a confrontation. Have you noticed how easily your mood can shift lately? One word, one look, one memory, and your whole body contracts. That's not weakness. That's a doorway. Every trigger is a teacher. Every emotion is a compass. And the pain you keep trying to ignore? It's not going anywhere until you meet it with presence. Because what you avoid, you prolong. But what you see, with honesty, with gentleness, you transform. This is the lesson of emotional freedom. You are allowed to feel, fully and without shame. You are allowed to be angry, to be disappointed, to be sad, even when others don't understand it. The goal was never to be emotionally perfect. The goal was to be emotionally honest, because only then can your energy be whole. You may think that being spiritual means always being calm, always being kind, always rising above. But sometimes rising above means standing in your truth, feeling your no, owning your yes, saying what you mean, even when your voice shakes. That kind of alignment doesn't come from suppressing your fire. It comes from understanding it. Have you ever apologized for your feelings, doubted your intuition because others dismissed it? That's the emotional programming this moon wants to dissolve. Because awareness is not just noticing your patterns, it's reclaiming your right to feel without editing yourself. It's breaking the cycle of emotional self-abandonment that was modeled for you again and again. Awareness isn't passive, it's revolutionary. It changes how you speak, how you choose, how you breathe. It teaches you to pause before repeating a trauma response. It empowers you to say, "This feels like the past, but I get to respond from the present." That's how emotional freedom begins, not with control, but with consciousness. This moon illuminates what you're still avoiding, not to shame you, but to free you. So instead of running from what arises, try sitting with it, listening to it, asking it what it needs. Your feelings are not problems, they're messages, they're maps, they're the language your soul speaks through your nervous system. Emotional freedom is the state where nothing within you is exiled, where no emotion is seen as too much, where your inner child and your higher self can both sit at the same table. This is the new level of healing, This is what the moon is guiding you toward. Because when you are emotionally aware, no one can gaslight your truth. No one can manipulate your silence. And no one, not even the ghosts of your past, can keep you trapped in cycles you now have the power to name. Awareness is the doorway, and once you walk through it, you never go back. This moon does not rise for you alone. It rises for your lineage, for your descendants, and for every soul still trapped in the echo of what you're now brave enough to face. You were not born into this timeline by accident. You are the bridge, the interrupter, the one who feels so deeply not because you're broken, but because you were chosen to break the pattern. Under the light of the full strawberry moon, you're not just healing personal wounds. You are sending ripples across generations. Because healing is not linear. It's not just self-care routines or words written in journals. It's energy. And when your energy shifts, everything connected to you begins to reconfigure itself. People around you change, dynamics dissolve, and souls still tethered to past pain find rest through you. Have you ever felt like your growth made others uncomfortable? Like your boundaries triggered those still living in the stories you're leaving behind? That's not conflict. That's confirmation. You're no longer available for inherited pain. And that kind of energy sends shockwaves through the collective. The truth is, your healing is not selfish. It's sacred. Because every time you choose to respond differently, to feel instead of freeze, to speak instead of shrink, to love instead of close, you rewrite not just your future, but your entire bloodline's energetic code. And this moon supports that kind of rewrite. This isn't a subtle energy, it's bold. It demands that you become a vessel of remembrance, not of pain, but of power. That you remember who you were before the trauma, before the silence, before you were taught to question your own light. Because that version of you is still here, and with every breath you take in alignment, you breathe life into that truth. So what happens when you truly step into your healing? When you stop holding yourself hostage to past versions of you? When you forgive not to excuse, but to unchain your soul from repeating the same loop? Everything shifts. Your health, your relationships, your vision. And that shift becomes a prayer in motion. A blessing for everyone connected to your timeline, whether they understand it or not. You are the altar now. You are the sacred ground where healing is being birthed. And the strawberry moon sees that. It magnifies it. It says, you've done enough surviving. Now it's time to start living. Let this be your initiation. Not into perfection, but into presence. Into wholeness. Into a kind of spiritual maturity that doesn't bypass pain, but transforms it. And in doing so, you don't just heal for yourself. You heal for the ones who never got the chance. You heal for the ones still watching you from beyond the veil. You heal for the ones who are yet to come. Because healing, real, embodied, courageous healing, is never solitary. It's cosmic, it's ancestral, and it starts now, under this moon, through you.